Encino and Bank Director have a very strong relationship, and both of us are very passionate about understanding the financial services industry. And so what we did is we stepped back to say, how can we take all these relationships we have? How can we take some of the technology and things we've learned over time and distill that out and really identify 6 key fundamental factors that separate exceptional financial institutions, exceptional leaders who lead those financial institutions from average and sub-average institutions, and take that and put that into a report that we hope others can learn and benefit from in terms of operating their institution. We anchored those tenets around the concept of a flywheel, because when you think about a flywheel, when it's standing still, it requires a lot of effort and energy to get it moving. But once that flywheel is moving and starting to build up speed, it becomes easier to increase that speed and manage it as it's moving. And so if you take that concept and think about these 6 key tenets, it's very much about how can a bank continue to grow? So how can that growth maintain that momentum while becoming more efficient, while ensuring they're able to manage risk and compliance, while ensuring they have a strong leadership structure from top to bottom that also mirrors a very strong culture that balances all the different stakeholders and often the contrasting needs, and then underlying all of that within this flywheel is the capital allocation that we look at in the report. The first tenet is leadership. And what we found from a leadership perspective in talking to some of the key executives at leading financial institutions is a natural curiosity and desire to learn. The ability to ask questions, question the status quo, but never assume the way you're operating, the things you're doing today are gonna be the things that are gonna make you successful tomorrow. And the only way to know that is by being curious and asking questions. Also, we found that what makes really good leaders in financial institutions, but I would say even beyond, is leaders who, yes, are confident, but have a humility side to them. They're willing to show the side that says they can make mistakes, they're willing to try new things, and they're willing to question themselves and others. So the idea of, yes, being confident, but having humility is another key characteristic of what we found great leaders in financial services. We also found that exceptional executives and leaders at financial institutions are very good at, yes, understanding and knowing the nuances of banking and financial services, but more importantly, they go out and study other industries. Because they found, and we found through our research as well, that it's often the things, whether it's trends and innovations and technology and things happening in other places and industries, that if you're not looking for those things, your institution can actually fall behind. So we see great leaders going out, studying those other industries and adopting some of those things that they're seeing as future trends and things happening. So our second tenet is growth. And what we found by talking to the leading financial institutions is traditionally they've looked at acquisitions as a way to grow. Now, institutions are still considering acquisitions as a way to grow, but what we're finding as a stronger alternative is digital and technology, because digital and technology allows them to get to market quicker. It allows them to get products into consumers that they have not traditionally been able to reach, and it allows them to cross borders in terms of the footprint that their institution can have. The third tenet is risk management. What's really interesting about risk management that we found in doing our research and talking to leading financial institution executives is that it actually starts with leadership. You've got to have that belief at the top that sort of permeates down through the organization that risk management, adhering to regulatory policies is really, really critical. And so when you have that leadership and that culture that is very much risk management focused, but it doesn't paralyze the institution, and you put the tools and the systems and the processes in place, you can better balance that paradox, which is, yes, we need to manage risk, yes, we need to be compliant, but when we have the systems, the processes, and the cultures in place that acknowledge that and allow us to manage that, then we can very much focus on doing the right thing for the customer and focusing on that top line growth. So the fourth and the fifth tenet are culture and stakeholder prioritization. And what we found in our research is those two tenets are very much connected. Because traditionally, financial institutions have looked at, whether it's their employees, customers, or investors, often as very separate, contrasting stakeholders. But what we found is leading financial institutions are focusing on their culture as the glue that brings balance to all the stakeholders. And what that means is when you build an authentic and genuine culture, and you cultivate that culture, and you celebrate that culture, you find that you're able to attract great talent. You're able to retain great talent. That great talent in turn takes care of customers, does the right thing for their customers, focuses on serving and supporting their community. And through that, you see growth and greater returns in terms of how that bank operates, which also benefits investors. The sixth tenet is capital allocation. And what we found by talking to leading executives at some of the top performing financial institutions is that having capital allocation as a key priority at the institution as part of the strategy, but as if not more importantly, is having a disciplined approach to capital allocation over the long term, whether that's through acquisitions, whether it's through dividends, whether it's through stock buyback, or whether it's reinvesting internally in the organization. The key differentiator that we found was a focus and a priority on capital allocation and then executing on that plan. Bank Director and Encino are very proud of this report, and we think you'll find a lot of great information and takeaways amongst the 6 tenets. Please download the report from either bankdirector.com or encino.com.